SK Vibemaker.
It's not every single day that I have LOX, LOX
Yeah.
in the virtual room on the line with me. I got
Yeah.
Sheek, I got Jada, I got Styles, man. What's happening, lads?
Yeah.
What's good? What's good, brother?
Jeez,
good?
man. You know what? I'm going to dive straight in with it, man. I've been there for a lot of you guys' journey. I just showed you that I got the physical copy of the debut album, and I've loved a lot of your journey. I've loved the albums. I ride around still listening to the albums. But for someone who's a newbie, a young'un, that, you know, is a fan of music, how would you break down LOX's existence in this game that we call hip-hop?
Loyal, longevity, dope,
Authentic,
yeah, incredible, yeah. MCs, lyricists, word,
craftsman,
Keep
organic,
going. Yep.
in the streets.
All of that. And we got the fourth album, Living Off Xperience. You know, why that as the title for the fourth album, Jada?
I mean, it felt like the appropriate title. You know what I mean? That's what LOX stands for. LOX stands for Living Off Xperience. So, you know, we figure after all of this time that passed, that was a perfect name to name it, to give you some of the experiences we've been living on.
I mean, we're happy that we've had two albums in the last 4 years after a 16-year break between albums. Was there much of a challenge coming in with these third and fourth albums, Sheek?
But not really though. Like if you know, we talked about this before. We've been putting out a load of music in between all that time. Like, you know, so it never felt like we was taking a break. We always been on everybody's ass like crazy, you know, whether I'm on his project or they on mine, or we doing other things. So, you know, I sort of been sharp, man.
On Give It To Him, Sheek, you rapped about being underrated, but the streets having you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
How do you channel that energy from being underrated, but making that not make you self-destruct?
That made you just shine even more when you hear my brother's lyrics, man. I'm like, yo, I got a body to, you know, so it just sharpens you up. Word up. That's just how it go.
It's easy like that. It never feels like it's gonna eat you up.
No. Not especially not now, not at this age, man. I'm 100 years old, man. It's like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
Styles,
it is out there. Yeah.
Styles, when was the moment when you lot officially became LOX? I know it's like around 25 years, but can you remember that point in which you officially became LOX after growing up in a close proximity to each other in Yonkers?
Forever. Yeah. I think ninth grade we was real professional, you know. I always tell people Sheek and Kiss are the most professional artists I've personally met in the, you know, during my lifetime before anybody made it. Their structure, their formula, they was like, everybody was pretty much like nice on the streets, but not like really with songs. They had both really early. So, you know, it's just a blessing to be around them and to actually just sharpen the skills. It was, you know what I mean? I always felt I was dope. I always felt they was dope. Then to finally like be around them and get sharp was incredible as a youth. Like, you know what I mean?
Now, Jada, I mean, the whole time that you guys have been together from, like, you know, you just said since school days, it's definitely over 25 years. No one has ever heard about any animosity amongst LOX. Has it been easy or hard staying together as a group, man? How much of a challenge has it been, Jada?
It haven't been a challenge. We don't let none of the industry hardships or none of the industry things get in between us. You know what I mean? So once we made that oath and pact that we was never gonna let no executives or industry intertwine our brotherhood, it hasn't been that hard. That's usually what makes and breaks the groups. It's usually the people in the office that never play tag football and never even been in it, you know. How can you let somebody behind the desk break you up?
Yeah. That's sick, man. I mean, Jada, you definitely shined on that Verzuz battle against Fabulous. I feel like he kind of underestimated what he was going to be up against. And there was a lot of people that I think underestimated you. A lot of people want to see a LOX Verzuz battle, maybe against CNN, Far Side, or a group like that. Would you be down for a Verzuz battle, LOX against one of those groups?
We'd be down for a Verzuz battle against anybody.
Spitax.
All right. It gotta be somebody with that, you know, that kind of catalog too. Like, I mean, it gotta be like Outkast or like, you know what I mean? Something crazy.
Yeah. So you'd be willing to go up against Outkast. You got going against the Juggernauts.
Yeah, them is big boys right there. Yeah, it gotta be something like that. It gotta be something like that.
Straight up. This ain't your everyday conversation, man. A London lad like myself is very happy to have you guys online. Do you understand that?
Thank you.
Get me.
They're talking about Bout-ish, featuring DMX off the 4th album. How was it getting back in the studio and collaborating with DMX again? You know, your Ruff Ryders brethren, because on the last 2 albums, we haven't had an official DMX song. How was that collaborating again with him, Styles?
It was a beautiful thing, man. We had fun in the studio. You know, we had a grand time. It was like old times. He was there. We was working. It was liquor, smoke, good talks, godly vibes, a lot of entourages, and you hear how the song came out.
I mean, are the studio sessions now with X in like 2020, 2019 way different to how it was back in the 90s, Sheek?
Nah, it's kind of the same. Yeah, kind of the same, man, with all his crew and a lot going on and spitting, man. Like even with this song right here, he came to like do a hook, but he wound up doing verses and all kinds. So
yeah.
Now, Jada, a lot of people have seen that the videos which have blown up very much in the UK and in London of you and D Block Europe, Young Ads and Dirtbike. When you lot sort of granted them to be part of the D Block extended family and them to become D Block Europe, did you expect them to blow up as big as they have? I don't know if you're fully aware, Jada, of how big D Block Europe is in the UK and around Europe. Were you surprised by that, Jada?
Not at all. Anything with the name, anything that got D Block attached to it is gonna blow.
And they good kids too, man. Like I remember meeting them back then. They solid dudes, you know?
They hard workers though.
Yeah.
On top of that, they have great work ethic. Their work ethic is impeccable. You know what I mean? I think people need to salute them on that. Like they have a real incredible work ethic and grind and good chemistry in the studio. Like, you know what I mean? Because
you know what, man? Some people didn't think it was an official thing. So like, it's good that it's actually official.
Why did they think it's official?
I'm on every one of their posts. I'll be liking and all that. They dope.
I mean, for like such a legendary group like yourself, LOX, D Block, to, you know, certify a London group was a big thing for us over here. So that's why I think some people queried it in the beginning of how official it was. You know what I'm saying?
The hood is dope out there in London, man. I love it out there. Gangster.
Shout out to my brother Brad.
Word.
Now, you know, you lot have had an illustrious career. You've had ups, you've had a few downs, you've had ups, you've had a few downs, you've had ups. If there was any part that you could rewind to in your career thus far and change, what part would that be, Styles?
I would just say learn the business more as a youth. That would pretty much be it. Like learn the business more. I think your trials and tribulations and your ups and downs make you, you know, all of us the men we are today. But if I could go back in time, I would just learn the business more and never get arrested.
The arrested should have been first. That's crazy. Nah, me. I always say this part. I wish I learned production to make tracks. I always wish I learned how to do that. That's it. Definitely learning the business as well, but definitely production. I wish I made like half of the album and rapped on it.
Straight up. What about you, Jada? Is there anything that you would change in the LOX journey so far?
The same thing Styles said, really. Just learning the business more earlier, you know. Just a little bit more earlier, because we was kind of on point, but we could have been a little bit better.
Come back to a big track off the album, man. The 4th album, Living Off Xperience. Collaborated with Static Selector on that, man. How was that, putting that together, Jada?
Easy. Static Selector's our brother. He always sends us beat packages. He's always working. He's always honorable. He's a good dude, man. We really rock with Static. So, you know, working with him is just like riding a bike.
I gotta say, man, I don't know how many people have said this to you, Jada, but it's fantastic seeing you with hair after all of these years, man. I mean, after all these years that you had the bald head. Yeah, man, but now you've got the hair, man. What made you decide to grow out the hair, man?
I mean, that just was going on right now. You know what I mean? It was in the house. I mean, before the COVID, I grew my hair, but being in COVID, I just been letting it grow. You know what I mean? I'm not getting a cut till the studio is done. So at this rate, I might look like show enough.
So you guys have diversified a little bit, man. You've stepped into the podcast game.
Yeah.
You stepped into the podcast game. We've been happy to see the Living Off Xperience podcast. There's a few episodes out there at the moment. I've seen the one with Mary J. What's the plans for the podcast?
More interviews.
Keep it going. Keep it organic. Keep it organic.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to call you offline. I got a guest for the next podcast.
Do it.
We got to find out somebody who blends in well with him. But I got the next guest.
What made you step into the podcast game? Because, you know, there's a lot of groups that are at your stage in their career and they ain't doing podcasts. So what made you guys step into the podcast game?
It's fun, though.
We got experience.
Yeah.
We got experiences to talk about here, man.
Yeah.
We have a lot of stories. We have a lot of relationships. And, you know, people like talking to us.
There's also a Ruff Ryders 5-part documentary series, which you are very much part of, which I'm sure people are going to be very excited to see that as well. Take us back to that period and where you lot transitioned from the bad boy era into the Ruff Ryders era. What was that like, Sheek?
Pretty much easy because, you know, those was our managers and we seen them grow as well as when we was growing. And when they blew up, it was perfect timing, I want to say. Definitely just perfect timing, man.
Styles, how do you look back at that bad boy era? Do you look back at that bad boy era with more joy than regret or more regret than joy?
I look back at everything with pretty much joy because I didn't have to be in the game.
Right.
I didn't have to be in the game. We made it so even the bad times come with a lot of bonuses and plus. We take the bad with the good, but we made it. Like we made it the bad boy, we made it on Ruff Ryder, and we made it to be sitting here talking to you today. So that shows, you know, I'm not regretful at all. I'm thankful. I'm actually thankful for all of that.
Quick nerdy question for you, Jadakiss. What's your favorite LOX track to date? If you had to pick one, what's one that comes to mind?
I can't. I'll say the Benjamin.
Benjamin's for real?
Yeah.
Well, you don't like it?
No, I do like it. I played. That's probably one of my. I thought he might have went with a harder joint or like, you know what I'm saying?
Nah, it's a big record for us. That opened doors.
Yeah.
That opened doors we didn't know was there for us.
Straight up, man.
Put me in the new tax bracket, baby.
I'm happy to hear about the tax bracket. Have you guys been good with your money over the years? Because there's a history of a lot of like, you know, olders in the hip hop game that, you know, they don't do so good with their money and it's a shame.
Yeah.
We good over here, baby.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on over there, but we good over here.
So we're happy to have the 4th album, Living Off Xperience. To those that haven't heard it yet, what should they expect from the album, Jada?
Great body of music, evolution,
Fire.
the same passion, the same hunger, but just, you know, you're hearing us talk from a different perspective.
Absolutely, man. And then, come on, man, we gave them stories and shit and like all kind of different diversity on there. It's sick. It's sick.
SK Vibemaker.